Hello, this is Mesh, and welcome to this review recap of Twin Peaks Season 3, Episode 11. So let's just start with the recap. So this will contain spoilers, so if you not watch the episode, go and watch it, then come back when you're ready. So let's start off with Miriam Sullivan. So if you remember last episode, Richard Horne assaulted her and left her for dead. And he did attempt to kill her as well. So he pulled down the front of the oven, and the gas was coming out of that, and there was a candle lit. So my assumption there is that was an attempted murder, but luckily she seemed to have survived somehow, so that's pretty cool. So she'll be able to identify Richard Horne to the sheriff for the death of the boy in front of the car, and also for her attempted murder. So that will be interesting to see where that goes. But Richard Horne has left town anyway now, so whether they'll find him is another story. Okay, so moving on to Becky. So Becky and Steve we haven't seen much of them. We know it's Charlene's daughter. So Becky and Steve are in a relationship, a pretty tumultuous one by the look of it. So we see that Becky loses it because Steve is apparently cheating on her. So we see her steal her mother's car and go and try and kill him unsuccessfully, which is probably for the best. But we see after that moment, we get a bit of confirmation about the relationship of Charlene, Becky, Steve, and Bobby. So what's actually going on with that situation? So we see that Charlene and Bobby are no longer together. And the Becky and Steve, I guess she says they're in love. You know, there's a deep relationship there. It's a real parallel, Becky and Steve, to what Charlene has been through before with Bobby. So it's pretty interesting to see that play out again, and Charlene is the mother. But we see a nice family moment, even though Bobby and Charlene aren't together, you know, really trying to help Becky. So it was interesting to see that. And then it all kind of comes crashing down when Red arrived. So if you remember Red from a few episodes ago, so I want to call him the kingpin drug trafficker to Twin Peaks. So he seems to be bringing the drugs in, and people are distributing it for him. So Charlene getting involved with the wrong people again, unfortunately. But let's see where that all ends up. Then after that scene, there was a really weird scene where a young boy shot a pistol accidentally, supposedly. And, you know, Bobby went outside to investigate, find out what's going on. And that whole scene was bizarre. It was very comical as well, which I really think David Lynch does a really good job of that kind of comical, bizarre scenes. It was quite impressive. But I guess the thing I took away from that scene is Bobby's reaction to a few things. So Bobby's reaction to the child who shot the gun and his father, almost as if he was looking at them, thinking there was a motive there that he didn't understand. And then when you went to see the lady who was beeping the horn, she wouldn't get off that horn, which was frustrating. But we see she was trying to transport someone which was sick, and once again it was so bizarre. But Bobby's reaction was so strange, and for me, this is the Black Lodge. This is Bob. This is the evil entities trying to stop Bobby going forward, Bobby Briggs going forward and finding what his father has given him, because ultimately that is a good thing that they're trying to do good. And these things seem to be against that. So whether or not this was an attempt by something which overtook the child on Bobby's life, I don't know. But I get that kind of feeling here. Let me know your thoughts on that one, because I thought that scene was very strange. Okay, now let's move on to the FBI agents. So we see Hastings take the FBI agents to the location he himself and Ruth met Garland Briggs. So where all these issues transpired. So we see that Gordon finds a portal. So he goes to the location, and that weird portal occurs. While this is going on, we see a woodsman. I don't like using that because I think that previously the woodsman was associated to the one main person that spoke, that said that mantra over the radio waves. These, as you can see, Gordon has described them as homeless-looking people. So he and Rosenfield see this homeless-looking entity kind of fade in and fade out. Then they go and investigate, see the portal. Really cool scene there that Gordon is going in, and his right-hand man Rosenfield knows and pulls him out. It was really cool. I really liked that scene. But it was also a very intense scene because I did fear for those characters. Seeing that homeless entity did put me on edge, and I thought someone was going to die, and someone did die, and it was Hastings. So unfortunately now he is gone, But in saying that, he has proven the situation was real that he mentioned. So I don't want to say he proved his innocence, because he's still associated to what the events that occurred, but he's definitely proved that he is not, I guess, completely crazy. So yeah, then we see a bit later on these characters, the same characters. So Tammy, Gordon, and Diane and Rosenfield all discussing what occurred. And once again, we have this suspicion of Diane, or well, she is under investigation, and we just see it again that she seems to be trying to pilfer information. Okay, now let's move on to Dougie, because this was a big part of it, but was a spin of what I thought was going to occur. So we see Dougie, his boss was saying he righted a wrong. So initially I thought he was going to take away $30 million from their case. But we see that his boss has said, no, you've done right here, so we owe them $30 million. So he goes to meet them. Obviously, Dougie being Dougie, he doesn't really know what's going on. He's just doing what he's told. But we see, for some reason, the one-armed man in the lodge makes him go a certain direction. The one-armed man seems to have pulled some strings to keep Dougie or Agent Coop alive. So it's just pretty cool if you join the dots here a little bit. So he makes him get the pie. And the whole dream seems to be based around the innocence of Agent Coop or Dougie. So it's pretty cool that whole event occurring like that. And we see the Dimension Brothers, whilst they are not legitimate in how they conduct their business, but they do know, I guess, right from wrong. So it's pretty cool to see, that they are reasonable and you can actually reason with them. So it was pretty cool. But that's a recap of the most parts. I mean, there's obviously intricacies there which I've overlooked, but I mean, it was a really good episode. I mean, I guess my review is, I really liked the pacing. This might actually be my favorite episode of this season, because I thought it had fantastic pacing. I really liked the mixing between the different locations and the characters. There was so many, I guess, different emotions going on. The unnerving scene, my anxiety was going nuts when we saw the FBI agents in that situation, because I feared for Cole and Rosenfield. That's probably the first time I've ever actually feared for their lives in the show, which was very interesting spin on it, because that's the first time that, one of the first time that they've actually been in a situation like that, where they can actually see these things. Well, I guess that we're aware of anyway. But it was cool to see that, and it was really cool as well to see the real harmony between those agents, so Agent Cole and Rosenfield. So it's really cool, their harmony between each other, that they know, without even saying to each other, what is required. So we saw Rosenfield kind of hang back. Cole needed help. Without him saying anything, he saved him. It was really cool to see that. I liked how they synchronized like that with each other. It's really cool. I mean, it just shows some people that have been working together for many, many years. It's really cool. But yeah, as I said, this is probably my favorite episode thus far. I thought it was a great consolidation between characters, investigations, intrigue, comedy, almost like a horror in a way. It was really cool. I really did enjoy this episode. So probably my main takeaway from this episode, I guess the questions I have, not a specific question, more around the mysterious shooting scene with Bobby Briggs. What was your interpretation of that? Once again, mine was that the motives of those people he interacted with were not their own. That they were under control of not directly Bob, but those entities, the evil entities that are trying to stop good prevailing. So that was my interpretation of what was trying to be portrayed there. Let me know your thoughts as always. Also, if you like this episode of my recap review, thumbs it up. And obviously, your feedback below is important, so let me know how you found the episode, let me know how you found this review, and subscribe for future content from me as well. So until next time, this is Mesh, and I'll see you later.